Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss chapter 12, and the chapter 12 is the atoms. Okay, so here in this chapter we are going to discuss the interior of the atom and the working mechanism of electron, proton, neutron, etc. Now, the first topic which we are going to discuss is your alpha ray scattering experiment. Alpha ray scattering experiment. I think all of you know alpha particle is a positive charge particle. Now in the setup you see you do have a lead cavity. Why we have chosen lead? Lead is the hardest material, and if we enclose any radioactive material inside the lead box, what happens basically, the radiation will not be able to come out. Okay, it gets trapped within the cavity. Now this lead cavity has a fine hole through which alpha particle come out, and S is the source of the alpha particle, and alpha particle is a radioactive ray you can consider. It is doubly ionized helium atom. Now the alpha particle comes out from the source through the narrow opening of the lead cavity, and after that it passes through the collimator. What is the function of the collimator? The function of the collimator is that it restricts a finite number of rays that comes out from the source, and it blocks the rest of the rays. So only fine stream of rays will passes through the narrow slit of the collimator, where the rest of the rays will not be able to pass through the collimator. Now after that there is a gold foil. Now why we have chosen gold? Because in gold material the thinnest possible layer is possible. Thinnest possible layer. And if we consider thinnest possible layer, then you can consider a layer of atom. This is the approximation only. Practically a layer of atom is very tough, but the as possible as accuracy, we are considering gold foil, because in gold thinnest possible layer is possible. Okay, thinnest possible layer we can predict, and if it is thinnest, then only single layer of atoms will be there. Now what happened? Alpha rays moves out from the source, from the lead cavity. It passes through the collimator, and after that it strikes on the gold foil. Now when it strikes on the gold foil, it is seen that some of the alpha particle passes through the gold foil, okay, and strikes on the ZNS screen. Now what is the use of ZNS screen? Now what happened when the alpha particle strikes on this ZNS screen? Some light comes out, and from that we can assume that alpha particle strikes. So this is a fluorescent material, you can say zinc sulfide basically. So when some disturbance will strike, some amount of light will emerges, and from the emergence of the light you can assume that there is a kind of disturbance that is happening within the surface or in the surface. So when alpha particle moves from the source and passes through the collimator and strikes on the gold foil, it is assumed that some of the alpha particle goes straight without suffering any kind of deviation. So from this we can say that most of the atom, and the atom is there in the gold foil itself, most of the atom, most space of within the atom is empty. That's why the alpha particle goes without suffering any kind of obstacle. And some alpha rays moves by an angle theta, and that can be observed by the microscope itself. This is a movable microscope. That's why we have considered only single ray from the alpha source, and the rest we have given the dotted. So there are large number of rays moves out from the source, but for simplicity of the diagram we are not going to show that number of rays. Only single rays we are considering, and the rest possible thing which is going to happen we have shown here by the dotted. So some alpha rays moves by an angle theta, some alpha rays comes back, and some alpha rays even suffer 180-degree deflection. Okay, so some rays moves out directly without suffering any obstacle. Some rays deviate by an angle theta. Some rays get deflected by suffering more than the angle of 90 degree, and some rays even deflects by 180 degree, so it moves back. Now from this some conclusion we can draw, and that conclusion part we are coming slowly. So observation part, what we have written: most of the alpha particle pass through the gold foil without an appreciable deflection. So if there is no obstacle, then definitely it moves out, go straight. No? In passing through the gold foil, different alpha particles undergo different amount of deflection. So we have shown here two dotted ray, but practically innumerable number of rays are there, and also we are filtering some of the rays by using the collimator. And in the diagram we are going to show you only the single ray so that the diagram becomes simple. So in passing through the gold foil, different alpha particles undergo different amount of deflection. So be careful, alpha particle is a positive charge. A very few number of alpha particles get deflected through more than 90 degree. Okay, and some alpha particles even get deflected by 180 degree. So you can imagine, if a ray whose charge is positive and if it suffer 180 degree deflection, what does it mean? Definitely some positive charge region is there within the atom, is not it? And if a ray moves head on with that region, then definitely it suffer 180 degree deflection. But if the ray moves near to that positive charge region, it suffer different kind of deflection, or deflection of different angle. So the conclusion part is here what? Since most of the alpha particle passed undeviated, so the atom has a lot of empty space. So there is no obstacle. Atom has a lot of empty space. Now number 2, as some alpha particles deviated by 180 degrees, so the whole mass of the atom is concentrated on a small region known as nucleus. So as some alpha particle gets deviated by 180 degree, it suffers that definitely some high density positive charge region is there, because alpha particle itself is a positive. So if it has to suffer 180 degree deflection, then definitely high intense positive charge region must be there, and that positive charge region is defined as a nucleus. Okay, nucleus of the atom, and whole mass of the atom is concentrated on that small region known as nucleus. So nucleus is of positive charge region. So this experiment defined that nucleus is of positive charged region. Now Rutherford atomic model. So based on this experiment, Rutherford put forward a model which we known as a Rutherford atomic model. Now what is that one? An atom consists of a small and massive central core at which the entire positive charge and almost whole mass of the atom are concentrated. This core is called nucleus. So Rutherford atomic model gives the prediction of the small region within the atom which we have defined as a nucleus, and definitely it has a positive charge. Now it says that size of the nucleus is very small as compared to the atom. So as few number of alpha particles get deflected by 180 degree, so it is assumed that the size of that small region definitely small compared to the size of the atom. The nucleus is surrounded by the cloud of electrons, and their total negative charge is equal to the total positive charge on the nucleus. So as small positive region is there inside the atom, and as the atom is neutral, then definitely same amount of negative charge must be there so that the atoms become neutral. And it says that negative charge of equal magnitude surround the positive charge region, and the negative charge is responsible for the responsible due to the electron, you can say. So a small region positive, that is defined by nucleus, and electron is moving surrounding that positive region. The electrons revolve around the nucleus in various orbit. It says that the electrons revolve around the nucleus in various orbit. The necessary centripetal force is provided to the electron by the electrostatic force of attraction between the nucleus and electron. So as the electron is moving, definitely it has a it requires centripetal force because it is moving in a circular path. So that centripetal force is balanced by the electrostatic force. the electrons revolve around the nucleus in various orbits. The necessary centripetal force is provided to the electrons by the electrostatic force of attraction between the nucleus and electron. Now the drawback point is that when electrons revolve around the nucleus, they are continuously accelerated towards the nucleus. So as the charged particles are accelerated, so it emits some energy. Now as it emits some energy, then definitely there is a possibility that a time will come when the electron merge within the nucleus. Okay, electron merge with the nucleus, and when electron merge with the nucleus, it means the systems become unstable. So Rutherford model could not able to explain the stability of the atom. So last point, drawback part, when electrons revolve around the nucleus, they are continuously accelerated towards the nucleus, and there may be the possibility that electron will merge on the nucleus, making the system unstable. So the stability of the nucleus could not be explained by Rutherford model. Now this is your Rutherford experiment. Please check out and try to find out your doubts. Now this model is overcome by one more scientist, and that scientist is nothing but is your Bohr. Now Bohr explained the or overcome the drawback of this Rutherford model and put forward his own specific model, which is known as Bohr atomic model. So please go through this part and try to find out your queries. Thank you.